Some Australian TikTok investors spread a loophole that has ripped off $4.5 billion and the ATO is pissed. Australian Taxation Office. Oh, it's like a tax loophole? The TikTok GST fraud is one of the largest fraud losses ever.
Okay, I know a lot of people might have heard about this already, about the ATO TikTok's GST scheme, but today, let's talk about how much of our taxpayer money ATO actually lost on this scheme. For those who haven't heard, the background is this all started back in around 2019, 2020, when people on TikTok, the news spread, and they will go on to Australian Business Register, register themselves with ABN, register for GST, then lodge fraudulent business activity statements by putting random GST credits, and then receive illegitimate GST refunds into their bank account, which is 100%.
Bro, this is small potatoes. Australia, get on our fucking level. Have you heard of the ERC? Have you heard of the fucking employee retention credit? Bro, it's literally, I'm not kidding, like 30 to 40 billion dollars a month of fraud in America being given primarily to rich people right now as still a fucking COVID retention thing. This entire year, the ERC has been pumping billions of dollars entirely fraudulently. There's dozens, hundreds of companies set up to help you get your ERC check, and they take a cut. They're all scams. The whole fucking thing's a fraud. It's ongoing. The IRS went to Congress recently and begged them to let them shut down the ERC as it's almost entirely fraud.
% fraud. So according to this article from Financial Review, out of the total $4.6 billion fraud, $1.6 billion were actually paid out, which means the money is gone, paid out to the taxpayer who launched the fraudulent activities.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, you know, it's still bad, it's still fraud, but like, you know, this is an estimate from 2022 before the entire year more fraud. $2 trillion fraud. 2 trillion versus like 1.6 billion, bro. I swear to God, the ERC it's not covered in nearly enough. It's insane. If you're wondering, like, for example, let me give you an example. After COVID lockdowns ended, like after we sort of got out of the pandemic, there was a burst of what's called revenge travel, where everyone that like was pent up wanted to go traveling. And so all flights went up, domestic and international. Now, if you know, people of higher income levels are more likely to take international travel, and people of, you know, middle class or lower are more likely to take domestic and travel somewhere within America. After a bit, the revenge travel started to trickle down. And then recently, with the rise of ERC fraud claims, international travel has shot way back up. There was a boom in luxury goods. All the shit that only rich people buy has seen a huge increase because they're fucking scamming the government with ERC. And in fact, if I watch enough fucking business TikToks, start getting recommended. I sent myself this so I can show you guys. I start getting recommended TikTok ads for like, do you have a small business? Here's how you can get ERC and make easy money. Like I get these ads all the fucking time. And you look into the company and it's just like fucking, it's just fraud, bro. Big ad. I just found out my childhood friend was sentenced to 10 years for $1 million in fraudulent EDD cards. Oh my God, disability insurance? Your friend was scamming $1 million of disability payments? Disability insurance and paid family leave cards offered by the government, and he was scamming them. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, like PPP loans were so bad and fraudulent, but they were public, so enough people got shamed into returning the money. There was some progress there. ERC is private, hidden, locked down. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. How this little known pandemic era tax credit has become a magnet for fraud. The employee retention credit has spawned a cottage industry of firms claiming to help businesses get stimulus funds, often in violation of federal rules. If they ever do like track this back and crack down, there's gonna be so many like mom and pop boomers that just scam the government because they fell for an ad and thought it was fine. and the reason you know it's a scam too is because this was a COVID era tax credit that was designed for like 2020, 2021. But you're allowed to file it sort of late, you know, if like whatever reason you were busy or got forgot. But like something like that should start high and then trickle down as we get farther from COVID. But instead it started high, trickled down a little bit, and then rocketed to the moon. And there's like more than there ever was before. Toke Tell Death, think of the $10. If you want more interesting info on ERC scams, I was the digital marketing manager for a major one. Toke Tell Death is going to tell us about ERC scams.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How you doing?
What's up? I'm doing good. before we get to the serious stuff, why is your username Toke Tell Death?
Yeah, great question. I guess at the time it wasn't ironic. It is a little bit more ironic now. But yeah, I'm not as cool as I used to be. So ERC, man.
Yeah,
What would you like to know?
ERC. Wait, does it line up? Were you smoking more weed when you worked at the ERC company?
No, probably drugs that kept me less stressed than that. So it was a pretty wild environment.
All right, wait, walk us through it. Walk us through it. Yeah. So what are you doing before ERC?
So I was a marketing coordinator previously for a real estate company.
Okay.
And then joined as a marketing coordinator for this ERC firm.
Okay. And these companies are basically all marketing, right? Like I assume these companies are 99% about just getting more
100%.
people. Yeah. Okay.
Marketing and sales.
Yeah.
A lot of them will say that they have like in-house tax experts. While that is probably true, it's not like it's that hard to have, you know, a mom and pop tax expert help you file it. The process is not hard.
Yeah.
I know people that have done that completely themselves. So exactly, it's purely marketing and sales. I've had some interesting conversations with sales where basically they're told from higher ups, don't look for, you know, a deduction in just revenue. Look for a deduction in anything. That could be someone decided instead to have 5 trucks, they decided to go down to 4. The 4 trucks could be bigger and they could have actually expanded during COVID. But the salesperson will hear, oh, so you had a deduction in the trucks that you use. That can qualify them.
Oh, I see. Like anything that went down during COVID, they could try to use that.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. The point of it, noble cause, is businesses that were struggling. If you were able to retain employees during that time, you're supposed to get rewarded for it. But it turned into this cesspool of just fraud where you have companies, 500 people, right? Yeah, that's a pretty big company. 500 people, they don't have a deduction in anything. And those are the whales for us because our commission is way bigger for them. So we're trying every possible loophole to get them qualified. The irony is like the mom and pop shops that actually need it are the ones we would ignore because the commission was just so small.
It's not so big, yeah.
Yeah. The lead generation tactics were not always really ethical, and in terms of the ways we would contact them wasn't always like up to standard. So you had leadership, you know, potentially acquire a list somehow of, you know, individuals that did not opt into any communications. They then proceed to get 4 emails in 4 days.
Oh, you start spamming them? You start trying to... What's the sales pitch? It's just like you guys... Yeah.
Great question. It's basically like you're very assumptive. It's like, hey, you probably qualify, and have a conversation with us on the big keyword, and I'm sure you've seen the ads.
I get a ton of these ads now, yeah.
$26,000 per employee is basically the keyword of every single one of these companies, because that adds up. And again, we're looking for the whales. So we don't want to say we earn an average of $100,000 per company. We say you get $26,000 per employee. You know, a CEO sees that they have 450
it's crazy. That's
employees,
insane. So,
and they do the math. So they get obviously greedy, go through our sales process. Unfortunately, I don't think they ever realized that they could have someone in-house do the work for them, and they wouldn't have 15 to 20% of that taken from them.
I mean, my understanding is that they almost feel like if they go through a business like this, it makes it more legit.
Exactly.
Then it's like your guys' fault.
Totally. And you could never say like IRS backed, but the verbiage you used was basically like, if you do get audited, we've got your back. We're here for you. You know? So they're like,
which isn't true. That company will be gone in a second if they actually get, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So again, it was all marketing, which made it at least interesting. While, you know, it was good to get out of it because it's pretty unethical. It was interesting to kind of be in just a very intense marketing only company.
Was there a sense from anyone there that what is being done is unethical, or what's
totally?
Okay.
No, absolutely. Turnover rate was high, and there's definitely a sense that, you know, this isn't right. So yeah, pretty crazy. That's
interesting. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing, and good luck with what you're doing now. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you, man. Thanks, guys.
It's so funny. We got people out here just working in the real world, doing all this different stuff. I mean, it's awesome to hear from somebody who had a job like that, because I've just seen it from the outside as I get these ads, and it's just so obviously fraudulent, and it's the scale is crazy. The scale is in the billions, trillions of dollars now. I mean, multiple of just companies that are like outright fraud or like skirting the rules and just milking the government. And it's all going to rich people. That's the thing about this credit is it's only going to people that are already well-off business owners. Yeah, it's almost like, it's like, I don't know, reverse wealth redistribution. You know what I'm saying? It's like everyone is getting taxed and then we're taking that money and giving it directly to like rich people.